I don't know if that's much better. Okay, so here we are. I made it to the top. Okay, both sides are symmetrical. This shape looks good at the tube. I didn't overtie the tube. I like when this overlaps. See that? That's the start of a side slip. As you can see, it starts down here. All right, and right down here too. See that? How it side slips over. That blade on the left is covering, because I'm right-handed, it has to go that way. Now, to go back down the tube, all right, I just cross underneath, yeah, and, sorry, hit the camera, go once down like that. Okay, now there are other ways you can do this. Some people do it like so, which is actually easier. You just cross the thread like this and then turn. See that? How easy was that? Cross and turn back. That's it. There's your cross thread, and then you follow it down, maintaining tension all the way around. I know young reed makers, they tend, when they go on this side, they loosen this too much and then it kind of falls apart. You don't want to do that. You have to maintain the tension on it, the same tension all the way down. Now this is like a guide wire right here, isn't it? So that as this, there's not a lot of force here, but there's enough force to keep this thread in line. See? So it's nice and tight right in here where it needs to be. Okay, so then we'll just keep going down, making sure that it's close, that the thread's close together. Yeah. So far so good. And then we get to the end of the cane and kind of pull up so it's a smoother transition to the tube. And what I mean by pull up is I pull up against this thread. See that? Pull up against the thread, the wrap, I should call it. Pull up against the wrap, and then come around so that it's nice and clean. See how it comes off the end there? And you don't see any reed. Okay. It's a personal thing of mine. Peeve, I guess. Now I get close to the bottom. I see I got about 3 or 4 wraps. What I'll do usually is, now that we don't need our guide wire, we can let this go. See? This isn't necessary anymore. But you have to maintain tension from the spool. You cannot let go of that spool. Okay? Your life depends on it. You don't have to pull like a gorilla, but you do have to maintain tension. Now I use my fingers here to hold the thread. Right? See that? Holding the thread, and I release the spool. Now we're going to do our half hitches. These are tricky. You take this thread, and the bottom part right here has to cross closer to the thumb. See where that is? Right there. Let me do that again. You hold it like, what I do is I actually hold the thread, I turn my hand away to grab the thread. See that? Turn your hand away to grab the thread and then twist it. Boom, like so. See how that works? This is a critical part of remaking, and I've seen many students of mine that couldn't get this right. It's tricky. I think this is called a half hitch. At least that's what Stephanie Burke used to call it when I took lessons with her. And it's very simple knot, but you put your hand away like so, all right, and then you turn the thread so. Okay, let me show you that again now that we have one on there. Okay, so we have the tied reed. You can see where we crossed over. And we want to make several half hitches. So I actually turn my hand away to grab this excess thread from the spool and turn it like so. Loop it like so. Like that. Let's straighten it out so it looks better. See that? And then this part, the top part goes over the the top, and then you pull it. And don't pull too hard. You want it firm. Okay? Now, I do 4 of these because the fewer that I do, it's kind of like you make a deal with the devil. Alright? The fewer half hitches that I do, the better the reed is. But then it comes unraveled in the middle of a critical moment. So I do 4, and that way I'm able to make fairly mediocre reeds that don't unravel. Okay. Of course I'm kidding. But I'll do 4. And you see that's nice and snug. And then when you get to this part, take your knife carefully, and right about there. See that? Cut it. So there you have your charred reed. Okay, and you can still see the ears a bit. And it's fairly clean off the top. Alright. And the shape lines up fairly well. Not too bad. And it's fairly straight. If you were to look down through the tube at a light source, you could kind of see whether or not it splits the oval in the middle. And that's very good. That means it's... So here we have our reed blank that we tied. And what I like to do before I go any further is I'll get like a little file, emery board kind of thing, to file the ears down. Maybe most of you know how to do this already. I'm trying to line it up here. Let's go overboard, not change the shape, but just try to even it out at the top. I mean, a lot of that you won't use anyway. Now, what I do with the reed from now on, once I tie it, I let it dry out for a few days, just like this. And people say, well, why don't you scrape the ends off? I find that if I do that, scrape the end and then chop it, that the thing just flowers open, and then you can't get it to sit in sometimes even the sides will separate. So I'll just leave it like this, let it dry for a few days, and or a few weeks even before you start scraping it.